James, what are you looking for from today's meeting and from Chair Yellen in the news conference?
Well, we expect the announcement of the reduction of reinvestments, and I expect Yellen to continue to be very reasonable in terms of a description of the data. And I think a description of the data right now will emphasize the hurricane and the uncertainty that will be in the numbers ahead. We're going to get some numbers that are probably too strong and too weak than they should be, because the storm is going to jumble things up in the near term. But I think, a December hike is still on the table. The real question is the market's reaction today. This move brings into question reserve balances and what happens in funding markets as a result of this. It brings into question duration risk, long-term securities, as you start to play with the supply of available long-term securities. And then it may bring into question the expected path of the Fed down the road. And I think thinking about this in terms of those three different channels is the right way to assess this move.
So, Ian, at this point, what does the Fed got to do to tighten conditions? Because they raise rates doesn't tighten conditions. They're saying it's not going to affect it whether they start rolling off the balance sheet. Do we become concerned if they can't tighten conditions, at least some?
Well, I think that probably not, because when you look at the underlying strength of the economy, it's not really showing a great deal of excess. As James was highlighting, the supply constraint that you're going to get from the hurricane effects, that's going to push up the inflation numbers temporarily. It's going to make those initial claim numbers pick up quite sharply, but that's not going to be signaling an underlying strength of the US economy. So our sense is that, how much you need to tighten, just from an interest rate perspective. Now, I think that they want to do that because they're trying to normalize things, and they're saying with the ISM at 58.8, if we don't do it now, we'll never do it. But, underlying that is still actually a pretty soggy economy.